There is a quiet truth that many seniors carry in their hearts but rarely speak out loud. It is not about money. It is not about health. It is not even about loneliness. It is this simple, heavy sentence: I don't want to bother my children. Even when the help needed is small, even when it is just a phone call, even when it is just asking, can you help me set this app? Or can you come with me to the doctor? Something inside refuses to ask. But why? Why does asking for help feel heavier than carrying the burden itself? Let's sit with this question together. There is a quiet transformation that happens in a parent's life over the years. In the beginning, pride is your fuel. You wake up early, work hard, sacrifice comfort, and tell yourself, this is all for my children. And it truly is. That pride builds homes, educates children, feeds families, and carries responsibilities that often feel too heavy. There was a man named Abdul in a small town. He worked as a tailor for 35 years. Every stitch he made carried one thought: my children should never struggle like I did. And he succeeded. His son became an engineer, his daughter a teacher. But years later, something changed. One day his phone stopped working. He knew it was a simple issue, just a setting needed adjustment. His son was sitting in the next room. Yet Abdul hesitated. He thought, he is tired from work. Let me not disturb him. So he waited. Hours turned into days. The phone remained broken. And still he didn't ask. Why? Because the same pride that once said, I will provide everything for my child, now quietly said, I must not depend on my child. This is where pride becomes a silent wall. Not the pride of arrogance, but the pride of identity. You are still living in the role of the giver, the protector, the strong one. Asking for help feels like stepping outside of who you have been your whole life. But here is the gentle truth. Life is not a straight line. Roles change. The tree that once gave shade must one day also receive rain without shame. When Abdul finally asked his son weeks later, the son fixed it in 10 seconds. Then he looked at his father and said softly, Dad, why did you wait so long? And Abdul had no answer. Because sometimes the wall we build is not made of ego, it is made of habit, identity, and love misunderstood. One of the deepest emotional struggles in old age is this silent belief: if I ask for help, I am becoming a burden. This thought does not come from selfishness. It comes from love. You love your children so much that even the idea of disturbing their routine feels wrong. Let me tell you about a woman named Shanti. She was 72. Her daughter lived just 15 minutes away. One winter evening, Shanti felt unwell. She needed someone to take her to the clinic. She picked up her phone and put it down, picked it up again and again put it down. Finally, she decided to go alone. When her daughter found out later, she was shocked. Mom, why didn't you call? Me? Shanti smiled and said, you already have so many responsibilities. I didn't want to add one more. Her daughter's eyes filled with tears. She replied, but being your daughter is not a responsibility, it is my blessing. This is where perception differs. What you call burden, your child may call purpose. What you call disturbance, your child may call love. In healthy relationships, love does not operate like a bank account where every help is a withdrawal. It operates like a river, it flows both ways. But seniors often forget one important truth. Your children do not want a problem-free parent. They want a connected parent. Because when you ask for help, you are not taking something away from them, you are giving them a chance to give back. And giving back is deeply healing for a child who once received everything without question. So maybe the question is not, am I a burden? But rather, am I allowing love to flow in both directions? There is a powerful memory that seniors carry, the memory of self-reliance. You fixed your own problems. You managed crises. You raised children. You survived storms. So naturally, asking for help feels unfamiliar, almost uncomfortable. Let's imagine a man named Yusuf. For 40 years, he ran a small grocery shop. He dealt with customers, suppliers, money problems all on his own. He never asked anyone for help. Even when technology arrived, he resisted it. He said, I don't need anyone. Now in his 70s, simple things became harder. Online banking confused him. Mobile apps frustrated him. But he still refused to ask his son. One day, his son sat beside him and said, "Dad, let me help you." Yusuf replied, "I should know this myself." His son smiled and said something beautiful. "You knew everything you needed when I was growing up. Now let me know what I need to help you." That sentence broke something inside Yusuf, not his pride, but his resistance. Independence in youth is strength. It builds confidence and survival. But in old age, holding on too tightly to that independence can become unnecessary suffering. Life is not asking you to become dependent, it is inviting you to become interdependent. Even nature follows this rhythm. A river does not refuse to meet the sea, a tree does not refuse rain. Everything in creation flows in connection. But humans sometimes get stuck in a past version of themselves. You are not the same person you were 30 years ago, and that is not a loss. That is life. The wisdom of age is not doing everything alone, it is knowing what to hold and what to share. Sometimes the reason seniors don't ask for help is not pride, it is fear. Fear that the response might not be warm. Fear of hearing, "I'm busy later, do it yourself." Even if these words are said without intention, they can land heavily on an aging heart. Let's talk about a man named Hamid. He once called his son to help him with a small financial transfer. His son replied, "I'll do it later, Dad." That later was not intentional rejection, it was a busy moment. But for Hamid, something shifted. After that day, he stopped asking altogether. Not because his son refused, but because he once felt delayed. This is what fear does. It magnifies one moment into a belief. So instead of risking emotional discomfort again, seniors often choose silence. But here is the irony. In trying to avoid rejection, they slowly create emotional distance. The relationship becomes polite, but not participative, warm, but not involved. And over time, both sides feel it, but neither knows how it started. The truth is, no relationship is free from imperfect moments. Children will sometimes be busy, sometimes distracted, sometimes unaware. But love is not measured in perfect responses. It is measured in consistent presence. One later does not define a lifetime of love, but silence repeated over years can slowly weaken connection. So the courage here is not just asking for help. It is also trusting the relationship enough to risk a small moment of inconvenience. Because love grows not in fear free environments, but in honest ones. Time changes people, but memory often doesn't. To a parent, a child is always the child. Even when that child is 35, married, busy, responsible, in your heart, they are still the one who once held your finger while crossing the road. This emotional memory makes asking for help feel unnatural. Let me tell you about Rihanna. She is 68. Her son is a successful doctor in a big city. One day, she needed help booking an online appointment. She struggled for hours but didn't call him. When he visited her later and found out, he was surprised. "Mom, why didn't you just call me?" She smiled and said, "You are so busy saving lives. I didn't want to disturb you for something so small." Her son paused and replied, "Mom, I save lives because you raised me. Helping you is not a distraction from my work, it is part of my gratitude." That is the shift many parents miss. Your children are no longer just receivers of your care. They are also capable adults who find meaning in caring for you. But when parents keep treating them only as children, they unintentionally block that emotional exchange. Letting your children help you is not reversing roles, at is completing them. It is saying, "I raised you with love. Now I trust you with mine." Perhaps the deepest misconception in old age is this: strong people don't ask for help. But let's examine this carefully. A soldier asking for backup is not weak, he is strategic. A ship calling for a lighthouse is not helpless, it is wise. Strength is not about doing everything alone, it is about knowing when to connect. There was an elderly man named Karim who refused all help even when walking became difficult. One day, he fell at home. Fortunately, nothing serious happened, but it shook him. When his grandson asked, "Why didn't you ask for help earlier?" he replied, "I thought I would lose respect." His grandson smiled and said, "Grandfather, respect is not lost when you ask. It is lost when you suffer in silence unnecessarily." That moment changed him. Because real strength is not silence in suffering, it is honesty in need. Even emotionally, humans are designed for connection. No one is meant to carry life entirely alone, not in youth, not in age. So maybe strength is not refusing help. Maybe strength is saying, I trust you enough to let you in